Good morning. Today's going to be Ace 9. Now, this is a full ring game, but we were shorthanded and we had played basically shorthanded all evening. Not a game that I feel confident in, but we're gonna, we're gonna work on it. So, I am first to act. I've got Ace 9. I use my cutoff opening range here. Ace 9 off is kind of at the bottom. In shorthanded, I've got the ace. I do have some high card strength with that. Open up to 3 big blinds, and the big blind actually calls. Big blind's playing loose 65-0. However, when we look at his stat, you can see that his looseness is really coming from limping a lot of hands. And if he faces a raise after limping, he tends to fold most of the time. Early positions, an example, he folds at 38%. It might be because he's a little bit tighter with his limps, or it just could be a number of hands that he's had. In terms of facing calls, he's calling at a much lower frequency. Big blind's calling about 38%, so he's limping like 60-70% of hands, most hands. But then he's going to be removing some of his hands from his range, so we do have to remember that. What about raising? He has 1 3-bet out of 86, so one hand out of 86, and on that 3-bet, that was with aces. Pre-flop raises non-existent. So I kind of built this range as like a 43. About a 40% range. I took out aces and kings. I think he would have at least 3-bet it. We know he's 3-bet aces. I'm going to give him suited aces, suited kings, broadways, all the way down to 9s, suited 8s, just a pretty wide range. Flop comes out, Jack 6-2 definitely is going to hit him. He could have jacks, he could have a lot of jacks, but he also has a lot of hands that miss, including like a bunch of overcards, just like us. He checks. I bet half pot. I believe this is the correct play to remain aggressive, because he does have a wide range, and he doesn't really have aces and kings. I don't think that matters much, but I think he's got a lot more hands. So it's more likely he has more hands that hit that jack, but he has a lot more other hands that I think would probably fold to a c-bet. So I bet half pot. He calls. Turn 2 of hearts comes out. I got stubborn and bet, because I kind of felt like, well, maybe he's calling with overcards. I do see his fold to c-bet 29% on the flop when he's in position, 100% when he's out of position. That was 5 out of 5. But then the turn was 0. I think the turn is probably where I needed just to check behind. I didn't bet half pot. He calls. River was a jack. He checks. I don't think he's folding. I don't think he's going to fold a jack. I don't think he's probably not going to fold a 6. Not even sure if he'd fold any other pair. So I just checked behind. And we saw the showdown. So let's check what GTO says. So I set it up so that villain isn't going to donk. He has donked 11%, but it's 2 out of 18. Not sure. Let's see here. Does he have his donk flop with top pair or better? Donked paired flop without trips or better. I think certain boards he'll donk, certain boards he won't. So I'm just gonna say that he's not gonna donk. So I have him checking 100%. I believe that's probably true, even if I didn't have that setting. So then it's on me. We're gonna be betting 77% of the time. You can see Ace 9 is kind of a mixed strategy. Same thing with Ace 10. Sometimes we check, sometimes we bet. We protect that with some of our Ace King, Ace Queen. Again, 2 overs. We're doing it with suited Ace 9, suited Ace 10 as well. More checks. And then 10s we check, probably because, if we're behind jacks, we're not getting jacks off. Kind of the same reason why if we have kings and an ace flops, we don't mind checking there, because we could be way ahead or we're way behind and drawing to 2 outs. Small pocket pairs tend to bet all the way up to about 8s. High pocket pairs bet, king queens, those 2 overs bet because we've got backdoor straight draws and so forth. So I think my bet's going to be okay. Villain's going to call at 47%. He's calling with pairs plus. He should be raising a little bit with sets and over pairs. So we have to be aware of that. And then of course 2 hearts comes out. So cool, didn't have to change that. Villain checks us, which I kind of expect him to do with his hands, because the 2 doesn't really change the board much. Doesn't really, if you're ahead with top pair, you're still going to be ahead with this top pair hand. So I don't think it really is going to change the dynamic of the hand. Now it's on us. We bet 77% of the time on the flop. We're going to be betting a little bit less because we had such a wide range. And it looks like we are still playing kind of a mixed strategy. Betting some, checking some. I've got ace of diamonds, 9 of spades. And according to GTO, that's one where we can go ahead and bet 100%. Is there a reason why they have these? I'm going to guess it's probably just frequencies. Like ace of diamonds, 9 of clubs, and ace of clubs, 9 of diamonds. Both of those are checking. It could be that they've just kind of set those up as saying, we need to be betting these, this ace-9 hand, 50% of the time. So let's, instead of doing 50% of the time across the board, let's pick certain suits where we will always bet. So like 9 of spades is always betting. You can see ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, ace of clubs is always betting. Ace of spades will bet, but there really isn't any sort of pattern. Like I would say ace of hearts, it's pretty good. I think kind of makes a little sense to bet more if we had the ace of hearts, because if the heart comes, we know the flush draw or the nut flush isn't out there, so we could be aggressive with that and potentially get a player to fold for fear that we do have that nut flush. We know the nut flush is out, and that's if a player is capable of folding. So I kind of think we're at kind of a mixed strategy here. Same thing with ace 10, same general type of pattern. I can't even say that if you have a heart, you're more likely to bet, because you've got ace of hearts, 10 of diamonds, ace of hearts, 10 of clubs. So you can see those down in this row right across from my cursor. He's betting those, less than 50% of the time, so maybe 40% of the time. But then ace of hearts, 10 of spades is betting 100%. So I think this is just frequency. We're checking 7s, 8s, 9s. At this point, we've got 2 outs. We've got 3 outs with ace 9 if we're behind. So those pairs that we were betting, now we're just going to be slowing down. We didn't improve. Villain said he's going to call. And we have some showdown value. If Villain has over pairs or over cards and just decided to call, we do have a pair. We do have a pair. So we do bet, and Villain calls. Villain's calling, middle pair plus. He could be calling some with weak pairs, some with ace high hands. So he does call. Jack of clubs comes out, and Villain checks again, and then it's on me, and we check 62.7% of the time. So we're betting our jacks. We're betting our top, our full house, top card. Oh yeah, so 3 of a kind. Oh yeah, I guess full house. Yeah, we're betting our full houses, except our weak full houses. So the 2s and 6s, 2s full, 6s 4, definitely check behind, because if he's calling, if he called twice, he probably has a jack, and I think that's why we are checking here. We do have the overpair that we're betting, and we have some made hands just to kind of bet as protection, I think the overpair, I think that's a little bit aggressive. Again, I kind of think if villain gets to this stage, if he missed this heart draw, he's not going to call. So I think betting with these no mate hands are okay if he's the type of player to do that. But I think if he, I don't see him calling with any other pair other than a jack or a 2. So I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with the overpair. I think we could switch to exploitative play at this point. You can see that I'm supposed to check behind, so I did check behind, and we saw a showdown. So what did he show? He showed king 6. Is king 6 in his range? Well, let's check it out. We do have king 6 in his range. He is one of those there. If we bet 13, it has him folding. So maybe we could have gotten him to fold, but again, I don't think we should be betting with ace 9. I mean, if we did that, then we're basically betting 100%, just right down. I think there's too many hands. I think there's more chances that he's going to call, and GTO saying he's calling, almost 60% of the time. He's folding 38% of the time. So yes, he's folding some of those 6s, but he could also be calling some of those, and he should be calling some of those. So do I think he would have called? Maybe. He seems like he's kind of a passive player. If we look at the river, he's bet 38% of the time. He calls a bet 48% of the time. Based on his stats, it almost seems like if he calls the flop, he's probably calling down to the river. But again, small sample sizes. Was he correct in calling king 6s? Yeah, I mean, he's calling king 6. I mean, he's protecting against us betting. So, every street has him calling there. So I can't fault his play. Can't really fault my play. Would I have been doing it with my entire range here? So kind of going back here, we'll go jack of hearts. It's a 6 to 9 is 2 of clubs, I believe. Yep. If we throw that out, are we going to be c-betting with our entire range? Which hands don't we c-bet on this board? And you could see like 10s, definitely we don't c-bet, and then we just kind of mix in some hands. So sometimes we're going to be checking ace 8 and ace 9. Sometimes we're going to check, I think these over king, queen, king, jack, I think there's more value in betting those because we also have backdoor straight draw, whereas ace 9, ace 10 doesn't. And I think that's probably what we're looking at. Ace, king, ace, queen doesn't have a c-betting as much because I think we've got a little bit more powerful hand because we do have an ace and we block a lot of the other aces that are out there. So would we change how we play it on a different board? So instead of a 2, what happened if it's a king? If he checks, I still think we bet a little bit, and I would still probably bet. I think that king improves our hand. If he's calling with the jack, he has to be concerned that we now have connected ace, king, ace, queen. I think the same thing's going to apply to like an ace. He checks. We still bet. I mean, we've connected at this point. So I think queen also applies. Again, improves our range, may get some fold equity with the jack. I think if a queen or a king comes out, well, he's calling with king because he has king 6. But I think those are hands where we continue firing. Because I think we build up some fold equity. GTO suggests we end up checking these pocket pairs again. I think that's probably right. I think what we do is we took that stab on the flop with our pocket pairs, hoping that if he calls, we're going to connect with trips, and then he's going to get, stacked because he doesn't see it coming. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you did, you should look tomorrow for another hand.